So one thing we're really conscious at the Toolroom Academy is tailoring our content to you guys. And I think one major challenge that we see that new artists face when it comes to social media is what we call the cold start. Starting from scratch or from low followers, it feels like hard yards, right? So this panel, the cold start problem, your first 10,000 fans. We're going to get under the hood of this, try and discover a bit more about this, understand algorithm updates, learn branding strategies, and hear what content's cutting through right now. We've got an expert lineup of artists and marketing specialists sitting here as well. So let's start with some introductions, shall we? Graham, you go first.
Hello. Oh, there you go. Hey, everyone. How are you doing? Hi, I'm Graham Farmer. 17 years ago, I started a website called Data Transmission. It's now a radio show, 5 record labels, a blog. I also, for the last 10 years, have been educating artists in artist development through my course, The Artist Blueprint, and my YouTube channel. I'm also a published author with my #1 selling book, Gather, Give and Grow.
That was amazing. Mine's going to be underwhelming.
Thank you.
I'm Lawrence James. I've been a DJ for about 15 years. About 8 years ago, I joined Crossfader, which some of you might know. We're an online DJ education. We teach DJing and how to market yourself as a DJ. We've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years, pretty successfully, and now I'm here talking to you guys.
What's going on, guys? I'm Rewire, a DJ and producer, and I'm fortunate to be here right now, to be honest. And I'll tell you why when we do this talk. I've navigated this music industry over several years and finally started to work it out. And it's taken me like 10 plus years. But nowadays you can do it so much quicker.
Hi everyone, my name is lau.ra. I'm a producer DJ and I make like wonky, bassy house tunes. I'm also the founder of a community and a monthly club night called Wonk, which is like a community of emerging DJs and giving opportunities to gender minorities in the dance music industry to get on stage and do panels like this and just share information with each other.
Can we get a round of applause, guys? Some amazing panelists here. Right, so before we get into like strategy or content, let's zoom back out a little bit. And let's talk about kind of artists and attracting fans. Like, why do some artists actually attract fans, and why do some not? What do you think makes someone go from just casually liking an artist to really starting to follow them, start to really become a fan, buying their stuff?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I think when I hear this question, I sort of reverse engineer the problem. So it's like, what is it about the people that you follow that you really sort of resonate with? So for example, I'm a big fan of Rewire. I love how technical he is on the decks. So every time he posts something, I'm like, I absolutely love that. There'll be people that love him for his music. I spoke to lau.ra backstage. I came across her a few months ago, and it feels like you know her. It's very personable. And I think that's really something you can lean into. It's just like what is sort of unique about yourself and not really trying to try too hard. And just think about the artists that you follow and what it is that resonates. And it might be different things. You might like the music, you might like their personality. But what is it about that person that you follow, and why is that?
Yeah, I think it's a story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I started following lau.ra. I really like her sound, what she does, and her vibe online. And I resonated with her just because she was really real. And I think that's super important. People need to connect with another human being. Like, we have AI coming along, and we spoke about this, but people won't connect with an AI artist. They'll connect with real people like yourselves. And I think you need to get that across online. Now, this isn't going into the numbers and the stats and stuff like that, but it's talked about a lot, and I have to drill it in that authenticity is the #1 thing I would say to any artist going forward. 100%. Just be yourself, be real, and double down on like your key skills. Something you're good at, just double down on it and sort of see where it lands.
Yeah, agreed. I think the first unique selling point is like, talk about music. How many over 40s are in here? Right. you lot have got more musical knowledge than everyone in 20s. Like, you literally know more records than everyone in their 20s, so you've got more to talk about. You've actually got a unique selling point right from the start. Your records and why you bought that record or why you started liking that record over someone that has only been doing it 5 minutes, that only knows a USB full of the Beatport Top 10. You go into the records you love and the records you want to talk about, and that gives you a unique thing to talk about. And that's why you're going to attract other people that like the same records as you and you and you. Like, just be a bit brave and put yourself forward, because once you start doing it, you can attract fans really, really quickly.
Yeah, for me, I think it's about world building, and I think that can take many, many different forms. For me, my world ended up being very, say, authentic and down to earth, because realistically, after I had my first son, I found myself in the studio every day, and I couldn't do the kind of fantastical world building, you know, getting dressed up every day and going outside and taking like all these elaborate kind of reels ideas. I just couldn't do it anymore. The most important thing for me was sitting in the studio, getting the music done. So then I came up with a reels format which complemented that, and that I could do easily and quickly and really low effort. But I think world building can take so many different forms. Like, there's many, many DJs online that create these like Uber lifestyle kind of worlds that people also love and follow for that reason. But then if you're going to go that route, you've got to somehow maintain it. And I think that's what's difficult, like with today's social media, the sheer amount of content you're required to make and put up constantly. Whatever world it is you build, you've got to make sure that you can maintain it.
And also, like, what creates real fandom is a piece of content, a track. Going to see an artist live, it might spark curiosity. You might come back and follow that person. But over time, they've got to give you something over and over again for you to turn that curiosity into like real fandom. Because, you know, one track, one Instagram post or something is not going to do it. It might get you in the door, but, you know, the DJs you follow and the artists you follow, you'll see them every day. They're all encompassing, always on your feed. And when you're starting out, it's hard to get your head around the sort of enormity of the amount that you've got to sort of be everywhere all at once. But it comes with repetition. And when you're starting out, the best thing about it is trying to get to 10,000 followers, which we're talking about, is you can almost like fail while nobody's watching. You can try, you can test, and there's nobody there to critique you or
What luxury.
the haters out there.
100%.
And, you know, you should celebrate the fact when you get one hater, because then, you know, you've gone outside of your comfortable realm, and people are actually like taking notice of you.
Oh, I got one the other day. I was buzzing.
Nice.
Literally on my YouTube channel, because I've been trying to be more polarizing.
Yeah.
And I got one the other day, and I was absolutely gassed. Like, I literally replied going, "Oh, amazing! You're my first hater."
Oh yeah.
Because you're not going to please everyone, are you? That's
what I said.
I think that's what
I'm-
people get lost in, is trying too hard to be a bit of everything. Because do you think, what is it that connects to make that real fandom? Do you think it's like personality? Do you think it's the sound? Do you think it's a mixture of things? Like, when you start following someone and you start to learn more about them, do you think you connect with certain things?
Yeah, I don't be afraid to be. I don't think anyone goes out of their way to be polarizing, but when you're putting, as an artist, as a DJ, or whatever creative mode you're in, you're putting something out to the world, and the world will have an opinion on it. And you've got to, it's almost like a muscle, you've got to train it over and over again, just to sort of get it like out of your head that it's a bad thing. And it's really, really difficult. And you might post like a piece of content, and it'll get 100 likes and one bad comment, and you'll think about that comment for weeks. It'll live in your head, and then when you come to make the next piece of content, you'll be thinking about that one person like all the time, and that's the thing that stops people all the time. They're thinking about that one person, or that you know, somebody who said shit about them 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 3 years ago. And I always used to think about that as well when we post content on the Crossfader channel. I would read every single comment, and I would I get like so angry, and I'd be like, right, okay, I'm going to make the next mix better. But it never ends, like it never ends. And you've got to remember who you're doing it for. It's them 100 likes that you're getting, them people that are liking and are becoming fans of yours. They're the people you're doing it for, not the people not the, you know, 1 or 2 haters you get.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like, if that's 100 likes, so look, there's 100 people in here. These all 100 people liked your piece of content. That's 100 real people. Like, if you get 500 likes, that's you know, a small club. Like, how many can you get in this room? 1,000? You get 1,000 likes on something, that's the size of this room. Like, if you put it into the context of real people, 100 likes is everyone in this room going, you're cool, and that's what you've put out there is cool, and I resonate with it.
I think it seems sometimes like it's such a way off 10,000, but it's not. It's really attainable if you break it down into small milestones. And I think that you should praise yourself when you achieve small milestones, 500 followers, 1,000 followers. You know, it is a big achievement because it is hard to cut through. But going back to what you were saying, that you do need to make a lot of content these days, and people won't see the failures, so it doesn't even matter. And all it does is it trains you just to get into a good system and just plow it out, just keep like smashing out content. Because there are huge artists right now that I know personally that have so much content that bombs, absolutely bombs, but out of, 1 in 20 or 1 in 15 posts might get 1 million views. It can just go, and you don't know when that's going to be, but you just need to keep going with it, and something eventually will just go, and that will open the door. And then when you've got other content, like you were saying, backing that up, then you're really going to create a follower.
There's two things to the 10,000. Like the kind of 10,000 you need because bookers or book people with 10,000, which is a problem. But there's also the 10,000 that you don't actually need 10,000 these days. Like Instagram announced at the beginning of the year that they're going to ditch the follower account. TikTok are already ditching the follower account. If you look at your Instagram, the content you're putting out on Instagram and TikTok now, 50% of it will go to your non-followers and 50% to your followers. So essentially you need to look at my content for the people that already follow me. So they're the people that you're kind of nurturing with content that are already into you. And then some of your content might do rubbish because it's going to 50% new followers. And essentially, like when you've got that, like they don't know who you are and they've never met you. So if they're not into you and not into that content, then they're not going to follow you, but they might watch. And that watch time is then important. And essentially, when you're making that sort of content, it's like you need to start thinking about hooks. Like the bigger the hooks, like Laura's really good at this. Hooks are really important, and there's been some really mental hooks recently. Like there's actually been a really mental hook this week. Where's my chicken tenders? There they are. There's the chicken tenders over there. And so I bought some props. Hi, chicken tenders.
Expensive chicken tenders.
Right. So no, those chicken tenders are only a €5, and they're not a hook, right? But where's my caviar? There's my caviar over there, right? So when you add the two together, that becomes an €80 hook. Basically, if you by being them together, Universe can put an €80 hook on them, and then a piece of content was made. Let's say it wasn't by someone that was going to buy them. Let's say it was by the owner of the club, and it was a UGC piece of content that they put out there because, let's face it, everyone then gets polarised by €80 chicken tenders. And then they share it, and basically this week, everyone's talked about Universe, mainly because of the chicken tenders, but then they've seen, oh, Universe, right? What's that? And then loads of people have found it because they're talking about it, and that's then become this little hook. Laura's got amazing hooks. Where's my third one? Laura's got amazing hooks. There's Laura's hook over there. So Laura used this hook. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I'm going to read it because I realised I did it too small.
I'm
Apologies.
a bit scared.
Hang on 2 seconds. Hang on 2 secs. No, basically, you might use it. Oh, yeah, so this is one DJs you can actually use. DJs, do you like music that walks the line between house and UKG? I thought this was brilliant because essentially it's like your fans that are already into you, if they like house or UKG, they're going to watch that piece of content. And essentially you might find new fans because if you like house or UKG, then essentially you will go and watch that piece of content. You're curious. Now, and then my final one is one that we already know, which is an excellent hook, by the way. There it is. Cam, you might know this one really well.
The James hype.
I've never seen another DJ do this. You're hooked. You're hooked straight away, right? Because it hooks current fans and new fans. It's a little bit polarizing because has they done it or not done it? And that hook's so clever. Now, I could have told you this point, and essentially you might have understood it, but I've added a load of showmanship, and hopefully now you understand it by adding some hooks of visual things. So really, my hook is, has anyone done a panel like this before?
No. Can we just give it up for these props?
Yeah, great.
This is something totally new here that I've never experienced at a panel. You said that earlier. You said, I've got a little surprise. And I was like, I think he's going to give me a gift or something at the end.
Next year we bring him props.
Absolutely love that. I hope he's paying you all well to sit there with us.
Thank you, my prop holders. Thank
Absolutely
you.
amazing. No, that's really, what you're saying there is exactly on point. It is about a hook, right? So let's dive into like moving towards content. Do you know what? Actually, the word, you used this rewire earlier. You said about being authentic and authenticity, and it's a word that is used a lot. I've heard it a lot, in conferences recently. What does it really mean? What does it mean in practice, being authentic? Can you guys give an example of an artist or a post where someone's really being themselves and it's really, really helped?
I think for me, it just means being true to my sound, true to myself. I don't post random crap that has nothing to do with me. It'll always be, true to myself, basically. And I think once you start veering outside of that, you're going to lose your core fans. And you need to keep those core fans. They're the key people. Even though they will sort of go with you, you need to create that identity and make sure you just stay true to it. I can't explain it any other way.
But then by doing that content that you're doing all the time, that's the same but different, you're going to find new fans because the algorithm is going to go, he's making this content, these people like it, we'll recommend it to more, you're going to find more audience. And that's by being true to yourself, by just making the same content, which is, again, if you've not seen his content, it's banging. Like, your YouTube channel's sick, man. And honestly, what you do with it is amazing.
Well, I stay consistent. I think consistency is really important. But, even if I got 50,000 likes on a post, for example, there's still billions of people out there that haven't seen my posts. So there's, you still need to keep going with it. And, if you're representing yourself as well, the other side of it is that it internally gives you happiness. I don't want to be out there being someone that I'm not. Like, why would I spend my energy, my time, my career being someone that I don't want to be? And if I could go back 10 years, I would have done it from the start. I won't say I wasted years at the beginning of my career, but I wish I knew this stuff now. I didn't, we didn't really have these kind of panels and stuff like that before. So really, you guys are privileged to be in a day and age with the internet as well, like with so much like knowledge on there. You can bypass the trials and errors, a lot of them, and just double down on you. Then you'll find your people, and then you'll grow exponentially.
You've got to make it creative, though, right? I was listening to a panel earlier where someone was saying about they don't want to do the social media, they just want to do the creative part of making music. And for me, like, making content is great. It's being creative. You're being creative. Yeah. You've got to come up with creative ideas. Like you're both artists. Like, do you figure it as like being creative? Do you think of it as a creative experience? And are you evolving it as part of you and your music and your creative? Like, the way you do your content is sick, and it's really creative. It comes in simply with your music, and it's simple to make.
Yeah, I think for me, I just had to find a way of making it easy, because it is undeniably essential for you to stay seen and break through noise and to stay kind of on people's minds. You do have to be doing some form of social media. It doesn't always have to be direct to camera. People do it in so many different ways, with voiceovers or very graphic things. So there's so many different ways of marketing yourself online. You just have to find what is easy for you, because again, go back to what Rewire just said. I think if you're not authentic, the mental health toll that will have on you long term will be so detrimental to your career. Like, being authentic to you, whatever form that is and also don't underestimate the fans, because fans, they're a lot cleverer than people sometimes give people credit for. That will catch up with you if you're pretending you're in the studio today and you're not actually making any of your tunes. That'll catch up with you eventually. People will find that out.
Yeah. So for new artists, like, how do they work? Because some people, I think, even a confidence thing or just being overwhelmed by the variety of content. And like, how do they actually go, well, how do I work out just to be myself and what will work? Did you guys sort of do that and some things didn't work, some things connected? Did you just do what you liked and then realise certain things started to connect?
Going back to the authentic thing, it's impossible to stay the course if you're just chasing trends or not being yourself. You might do it for a few weeks and jump on something new, but you're never going to be able to keep on that bandwagon, that train. There is, when Gray mentioned how many over 40s in here, you're not going to be on, TikTok doing dances and things. You need to really find out what it is that, and posting constantly, it should be a thing of, there's not one thing that you're trying to achieve in this business, right? It's not like there's a piece of content or a track that will get you this result and then you're done, like you're satisfied. Like it's do you want to be in this business forever or not? Because it's kind of like one or the other thing. And it's not that if you're in the business forever, you'll be, headlining the biggest shows in the world, but you'll have a job or a career in this industry. I stayed away from being authentic. At my height of my DJ career, I've come from like R&B, hip hop, I love UK garage and bass. And then I was playing a lot of stuff that I just wasn't interested in. And I was flying around the country on my own. It was solo. And I remember texting Jamie Crossfader on the phone saying, this is just not for me. Like I've veered off course and I just don't want to do this anymore. And that's literally the day back I landed and went and joined Crossfader. So it's impossible to stay the course if you're not true to yourself 100%.
I always think I did this the other day actually. I do this little task, essentially go and do content research. It's essentially just scrolling and looking at other people's content. And there's only so many formats that work. Like there's only so many ways you can make a piece of content. You'll see all the formats. If you do enough content research and just sit and watch, I spent maybe 2 hours and I found 100 pieces of content in the same field as me that I quite like, whether it's social media or whether it's, sometimes I look at sport or sometimes I look at other people that are doing really well. And I essentially looked and made a list of 100 pieces of content and they go, right, which one can I make? Which ones do I want to make? Which ones do I can flip into mine? Like, because essentially we're talking about this on the train. Like everything's a remix, and essentially, like even ourselves are remixes, right? Essentially, right? And congrats on your baby, by the way. But essentially, just everything's a remix. So just remix something else that somebody else has done and make it your own spin.
I think people are afraid of quote unquote copying. Seeing a piece of content and then being like, well, I can't do it like exactly the same. It's like, yes, you can. Like, you absolutely can. Like the hook. Have you ever seen a DJ do this? We used that. I saw James do it. We went in the studio. We did the exact same thing. And did anybody say you've stolen James Hype's content?
So I was going to ask you guys, as artists, would you honestly say you've done that? Have you seen other content and gone and learnt from that and then done a twist on it?
I haven't directly stolen anything, but I definitely could see that there was a format that Instagram liked, which was just the same camera angle again and again and again. Somebody that did that really well was Fish56 Octagon, who came up on my radar a couple of years ago. And it was like, this guy it's the same thing again and again and again, but he's talking about different tunes, right? And I was like, maybe I should just do that because that would be well easier than trying to make like several different types of reel a week.
It's not even staged, is it? It's like, it's so easy and it feels real.
Yeah.
And if it works for you and your life as well.
Exactly, and it's predictable, right? And it seems to the algorithm likes that. People seem to like that because it's like, oh, it's another lau.ra reel because it's exactly the same camera angle. I'm in my studio at home, and it's like, I'm talking about different things and I'm playing different music every time, but it's like that's the thing people recognise and seem to connect with instantly.
I mean, he's a great one to bring up, isn't he? To talk about really in terms of that content working, because that is someone being themselves in their dressing gown, having their Weetabix with no milk, which is insane, by the way.
The reason it's in his dressing gown is because it was in the 2 hours before he had to take his kids
6
to
a.m.
school.
He was doing those reels at 6 a.m.
It's the same thing. It's 2 hours before he had to take his kids to school, and it was while he was getting dressed, and that's why it's in his dressing gown.
And I can guarantee if you spoke to him, he would not have gone, I'm doing this so that in 6 months I get sent a Savile Row or Louis Vuitton dressing gown.
It's make, post, learn, repeat. Like literally... Like, it's really, really simple. Just make as much as possible, and if it's working, then lean into it and learn what's not working. Look at your analytics. If you've not downloaded the Edits app from Instagram, if you're using Instagram, go in there because there's now a retention graph to see where people watch to your content too. And if they start dropping off, then shorten your content.
Yeah, and also, don't be afraid to have if you're a DJ or an artist just starting out, don't be afraid to have a fresh start, because you might have an Instagram account that you've had for 10 years. You've got friends, you've got family, you've got high school people on there. So when you post something, it's showing the algorithm to people who don't really care about what you're doing. We've spoken to hundreds of students recently who had a fresh start, and then what happens when you start posting, the algorithms go and find the fans that actually like the stuff that you're posting, And a guy called Ignition, where I'm from, he had his account hacked, so he had to start again. And in like 3 months, he's got 30,000 followers because he's found the algorithm. He's found the people that want to watch his stuff.
Yeah, we had the same with our students, because essentially it is that when you were saying at the start, when you're making mistakes, you've made all the mistakes. But if you start a new account and you're kind of ahead of the curve, you've learned all the mistakes, you know what's going to work now because you've kind of done the research, and you can actually springboard your account quite quickly.
It comes up a lot, that, doesn't it? People are scared to restart.
And if you use, there's a new feature also in Instagram, trial reels. If you use that, essentially go and find all your best content that's got some reach, and use trial reels on it, because that goes to new fans and it goes and finds you fans. You can actually grow a massive audience quite quickly just posting. It literally goes and finds you new people and shows it to people that don't follow you, and then you can see what's resonating. And it can help you grow your account quite quickly.
I think something that's not been touched on is that some people are scared to take the first step. And I was initially, like, before I, grew on Instagram, I was terrified of putting myself online. And you know what, I just went for it, and it worked out. It's just taking that first step, super, super important. And again, going back to what you said, you shouldn't worry about failing. There is no failing in it. It's just a learning curve. And if a post doesn't do well, it bombs, or later you realise, okay, maybe this doesn't represent me so well, just delete it.
Yeah, I'm terrified all the time. Every time I go to make a YouTube video, I'm terrified. And I sit there and I'll procrastinate, and I'll sit there and go, oh, I've got to do this, And like, then when I've done it, I'm like, oh, actually it was okay. And it gets better, over time. And
so you're both saying, anyone watching you would never think that. Because
it's terrifying.
So much content regularly.
As soon as you press record on anything, just something happens in your brain where it's like,
it is, isn't it?
I've got to do this now. And then, when we record the podcast, you get, I suppose, some really nice people.
He had to stop about 10 times. I could tell you, he was making loads of mistakes all over the place.
I was going off script for ages, and I lost my poor editor. He was like, oh my God, you went on a right old tangent today. Did you even read the script?
No,
I'd spend 2 days writing, and I'm like, now I've got a teleprompter, and I still wonder, and it's still jokes.
So we're all the same. Everyone's the same.
Yeah, when you finished it, you literally like, what have I just said? Like, what is that okay? And people are like, yeah, it's really good, and you're like, you've no idea what's going on in here.
So let's move on and talk about platforms, right? Because we've got so many different platforms out there, and I know it can feel quite overwhelming to a lot of you guys with that. So how important is it to think about them differently? Do you need different strategies for different platforms? Should artists try and cover them all? Should they treat them very, very differently? Or should we just be focusing on one?
I'm quite bullish on if you don't have 10,000 fans, then I would essentially say you're quite novice in the game. So don't overwhelm yourself with a load of different things until you get good at one thing, because it's a lot of work. We put out 1,000 pieces of content on a month. It's so much. They all act differently.
How much a month?
1,000 pieces of content in a month.
Yeah.
And every
You feel substandard.
and everybody's. You think about it, when you wake up in the morning, what is the first app you open? You gravitate towards that platform. If it's Instagram, it might be TikTok, it might be Shorts. But you know that inside out. Don't go and try and figure out a whole new era, because they act different, they talk different. And until you get to 10,000 fans, you've not really hit the checklist of being good at one thing.
Yeah, I agree. Do really learn one platform. Literally, just go in on one platform, learn everything about it, learn every surface, every type of content, do the content research, and literally learn what works in that platform and get it right. Because once you do, then you've got more time. But again, all of you got lives and kids and families, and you've got to fit social media into your time as well as making music. So just focus on one and get one right. And then if you've got time to learn others, but mainly focus on one and get it right.
Do you think that's a mistake that people do, repurposing content one piece across every platform?
I think it's different.
It's not a mistake.
No, you think no, I think on different platforms, I like to see different things. I hated the whole shorts thing on YouTube. I was like, that's TikTok or even Instagram. But I was going to say a point that if you see Instagram, for example, roll out a new feature, jump on it straight away. Literally jump on it, because they want to push that new feature and they're going to promote anyone that's doing so. So, for example, after this, I'm going to post my usual slides that I do for my live streams, but I've now cut them into a different size ratio because they're doing 4:3 now. So I'm going to post that. I'm going to see how it does. I'm hoping Instagram gets behind me and gives it a little extra nudge. But yeah, anytime you see a new feature come out on a platform, just try and capitalize on it. Even if it's just a couple of posts, just see what happens. Because truthfully, you know, one post can really change things. It can change things.
And then the other thing with platforms is get people off platform, like get them into a WhatsApp group, get them into an email database, and just get people off your platform, because you essentially don't own that platform or own any of that people on that platform.
Yeah.
So get them into something where you can talk to them.
You're not
And
competing.
you're not competing. Yeah, exactly.
100% agree with that. 100%.
That's really interesting. So, you know, actually, like, just take them away and try and build a community as well outside.
Yeah, just literally, like, even if it's a WhatsApp community of, you know, of the people that are really into what you're doing. Like, if you get 50 people in a WhatsApp group, then that's you're all helping each other. Randomly, I saw this post on Facebook, and everyone was moaning about social media and how bad it was. And at the time, I thought, oh, you're a little community of all moaners. Why don't you get in a WhatsApp group and kind of create your own community of just people that can moan with each other? And essentially, you'll help each other, because essentially, you're all saying the same thing. And it was super interesting. But at the time, I was like, oh, they're all moaning about the same thing. They're literally a little community of moaners. It was quite funny.
Is that not just Reddit?
Is there a group for Maidstone traffic? I'll join that one straight.
I definitely think it's important to try and get a community built and the data from that community for yourself. And that's not to say you want to sort of manipulate people or, you know, do anything seedy, but you just want to be able to contact them because they are your fans, I'll say, or your community. Like, for example, Instagram absolutely cats the heck out of me. Like, I've got over 100,000 followers, but I do a post and it reaches like 1% of the people. Over 100,000 people have followed me, but only 1% are actually being able to see my posts. Now, it's...
How long did it take you to grow that following, and how much of... it annoys me that platforms never show active following. Like,
yeah, true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many of that following is actually active? That maybe they were following when you started, but now they're going off doing it. They're older, they've got kids or whatever.
The fact is that Instagram has control, not you.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's the key thing that I realised when the Instagram algorithm decided to change. All of a sudden, I felt completely powerless, and I think it was definitely a light bulb moment that I should have been getting that community in a place that I had a bit more control of. So if you can do that from early on, 100% do that.
So let's talk about Instagram, because it's obviously still one of the most key platforms, you know, that dance community are using still to this day now. Graham, you've previously talked about framing Insta strategy as finding versus reminding. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, like I touched on it earlier. Like, literally, like, you've got a group of fans, literally, like, they're kind of your content's going to go to 50% of your new fans and 50% of your potentially new fans that don't know you, 50% who follow you, 50% who don't follow you. So you've got to make content for both. Content might only work for one type of the people. So your content might be like, right, I'm going to make content who are really into me and know what I'm doing, and I'm going to talk about things that I've talked about before. But
so that's the reminding, and then the finding.
Yeah, like so I was saying earlier, like Laura's content with that hook that I spoke about earlier. Thanks, Hook over there. Essentially, that hook would it would get new fans and old fans, but it would also remind current fans, but it also finds new fans at the same time.
And Laura, like the footage you do, the reels you do, they're really sharp, they're on point, they're focused, the music's really bold. Is there a process that you do when you kind of put these together?
Zero. No, I film them on my phone. I've got a good phone. I've got the Pro or whatever Max, so tried to get the phone with the best camera I could get. And I have a little flexible arm thing that's like 20 quid on Amazon or whatever. Attach that to my desk, which has got my laptop and my studio on. And that stays in exactly the same place. Never move that. And then I have two like softbox lights that I got again on Amazon for probably about 40 quid. And again, they don't move. So like, it's just exactly the same setup every time. And I am fortunate that my studio is in my house. I have quite a limited time of work time compared to before I had my kid. So I'm in there at 9 and I'm out of there by 3 usually, so I know how long my workday is, and mostly every day, especially now I've moved out of London, I'm mostly in the studio every day apart from weekends where I go and do gigs. And so I'm just like, I'm there. I knew I was there. that setup, my little socials thing doesn't change. And then every time I feel like, fuck, I better record something quickly. And it takes me like less than half an hour, probably less than 20 minutes, just record it and just not overthink it. I think that's what I had to train myself into, just not overthinking it at all. It's like, just get something, make it and the quicker you get it, the more natural it is usually anyway.
Do you spend a bit of time editing yours? Because they're very, very sharp.
Yeah, not anymore. No, not anymore. Sometimes if you've said like waffly stuff and you want to cut that out, occasionally I'll cut it down. But no, usually it's like a one-take thing and I'll just bang it up.
Can I ask, do you play the track, literally as the track it's recorded, as the original track, or do you cut the track to kind of make it so it's exactly the length you want it to be, and then you sort of have it prepared?
No, a lot of the time I'm literally just playing it out with my speakers in the room, so it's just getting recorded through the phone. And I've had a couple of reels really pop off that have had in-camera audio, and I don't have an extra mic or anything.
It's authentic.
Yeah, but those seem to do better than the ones where I bounce out the track and I stick it on and it's full high fidelity. Yeah. There's actually the ones that are recorded through the phone mic that seem to have performed better. So.
I've seen this as well.
It's almost trends, isn't it? Because everyone was doing that, and then suddenly everyone started editing over the top.
Yeah, Laura makes a great point, because the less friction that comes between you and creativity in any creative format is better. If you want to go and record a mix, you just want to press a button, your stuff come on and you can get into it. You don't want to be setting up the decks around. If you want to produce, you just want to be able to on Ableton straight away. You rack set up everything. If you want to make a video, you don't have to be setting up your 4K camera, putting it into some editing software, cutting it up and chopping it. Sometimes you do, when you sort of progress, but you want as little friction as possible. And I think that, TikTok has allowed us to be a lot more authentic. We went through a stage of everything being 4K camera and everything has to be unbelievably polished. Every DJ was going around with a videographer, not making any money because you had to pay the videographer. They were making loads of money. But essentially, if you can remove the friction, and people don't care what it looks like. They care about the value you bring to them and what you can do for them. Are you there to brighten up the day? Are you there to give them something for free? Are you there to teach them something, which is what we do? What is it about your content that is going to provide value in somebody's day when they're scrolling for hours and hours?
Is that how you thought about things when you were growing Crossfader? Because you guys have got a massive following, huge following, right? And you've built that up. And was you doing stuff like 4K, high res, and that helps? What
we
hacks
still
have you got
we still struggle
it?
Doing less, because we've got all the equipment and things like that, but we are built off giving value. You'll rarely ever on our content hear us ask for anything. It's always, how do we deliver more value? How can we give you something for free? How can we take our knowledge? How can we do a podcast with Rewire, pick his brain and give that back to you? And I think that a lot of up-and-coming DJs, producers will think about what people can do for them, like how can I springboard my career? What can I get out of people? I've just got a track out. Will you go and buy it? I've got a release coming up. Will you buy it? But, what have you given me consistently over a period of time? Is it joy? Is it entertainment? Or is it value?
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
I mean, it works for me. When I started, my Instagram started growing, it was a happy side effect of what I was already doing. I just wanted to share the music I enjoyed with people. And what it turned into was people coming to my page now to see what tunes I'm playing, see the fresh tunes. And that's me essentially giving them something. But, I never actually meant for that to happen. But, obviously I realised that's what it was after.
Yeah, it's giving you a voice. It's giving you a feeling, because yours is very bold. It's very energetic, like the sets.
I mean,
That's
it's real.
Like.
They're all taken from like my live stream. So, everything I do, I kind of try to have multiple effects from it. So I'll do the live stream, which obviously sits on YouTube and people can watch that. But then I am able to cut that up and have a post on Instagram.
But it's entertaining, and it's that, which is essentially what you're saying. Like, I remember my point now. Like, the content you're putting out there is entertaining, and that's essentially what you're saying. Like, don't try and broadcast. Literally trying to entertain, and literally when you're playing with your live streams, they're entertaining. So you watch them, and you want to see what tracks you picked this week, because I'm already in there, and I'm like, shit, has he picked one of mine? Like,
he becomes a selector. So you tune it in, and then you're trying to get the track ID. Every DJ in the world wants a track ID.
And do you know, even like Bicep used to do that a long time ago. Like they literally started by writing a blog, and they would select the best tracks, and you'd go on their blog, and you'd find out what tracks they were into this week. And they literally, I literally would go and feel my bicep every week, every day, and go, right, what tracks are they picking? And by them selecting, it was like, oh yeah, I'm into that. But then after a while, you go, shit, I want to go and see them play because they literally were being. I hate the word tastemakers, but tastemakers by selecting great records. And that's all you need to do with your, that's all you essentially do with your social media content.
Like, I never meant for it to happen, and I just saw that it happened to work. I was just putting stuff out there, and something clicked, and then, you obviously need to keep your eye on it, and then I doubled down on it.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened, and then it sort of escalated and sort of grew from there exponentially. And it was always true to me because that's what I wanted to do anyway. I wanted to put out good music to the world and stuff like that. So, it was just a win-win situation, and I still got to stay authentic throughout.
So let's flip it now, and let's think about if you guys were personally mentoring or helping or working an artist, but they were a bit more introverted, musically had something really going on, but feel like they might not be someone that has something big to say, big personality, something to kind of really shout about. What would you tell them to focus on first to try and build an online presence? Would it be like a certain type of content? Would it be a platform? Would it be about trying to get better, change their mindset?
The simple one is YouTube. Like, simple one is just be a DJ on YouTube and essentially put up mixes on YouTube. There's a guy, actually, it's Rob Weiss here, like he's normally here, and essentially he has a channel. He literally makes a mix. He puts a clever artwork on it, and that's all it is. And he's up to maybe 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, and some of his mixes have had 700,000, 800,000. No face, just literally being a DJ, picking great records, and learning one platform, YouTube, and understanding all the kind of aspects of YouTube and how it works. But really, and it literally doesn't have to be a face, but he's still giving, when he releases his records, he's still got then a platform to talk about his records because it's got a massive audience and a massive reach now.
I think in an ideal world, obviously you want to put your face in front of the camera and let people know who you are. I think that if you are uncomfortable with doing it, doing DJ sets behind a camera might be a nice step to just learning to be in front of a camera. If you're really uncomfortable, I'd recommend probably collabing with someone, getting someone else in a post who might be a bit more forward, who can bring that out of you. And I'm not saying don't be yourself, but you can stretch yourself. I would.
Do you think it's hard to do content behind a face?
Yeah. No, I think there's ways to do it. I think like threads and talking using words. I think written content. I do agree with you. You have to be a face, and essentially, if your goal is to DJ and play on stages, you're going to be in front of people anyway, and you've got to kind of. That's one of those things you've got to push yourself through, But I think there's still ways to. There's platforms. SoundCloud's a great platform. Learn that platform inside out and just put out stuff on there. And there's a really good there was a track by Casio a couple of years ago, 2023, and he literally just used the SoundCloud platform and just kind of went back and forward it, uploaded little edits, and just kind of got his mates and WhatsApped loads of people and said, "What do you think?" and gone comment on it. And it kind of grew this track into 30 million streams, but just by using SoundCloud.
I think also if you've got time, I would probably open up like another 10 fake Instagram accounts that direct to you. If you don't want to personally put your face on something, you can repost viral content and just put your own music on it or something like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Tagging the artist, which is yourself, and try and build it that way. Then you don't actually have to put your face on there. But you're going to get loads of traffic. And I think what will end up happening is the bigger you grow, you might actually get a bit of confidence in yourself to then put yourself forward.
Yeah, theme pages are huge. Like just picking a theme, and the real key with that is make the title and the handle just something that's super searchable. House and techno blazer, techno and chill, techno whatever, like techno and biscuits. It's what are people searching for, and then those theme pages grow quickly.
Yeah, I don't know many DJs and artists who aren't introvert. I think a lot of us get into this game because we are a bit shy and a bit, into ourselves, and everyone likes to be at home watching Netflix. It's comfortable, but I think as soon as you create an artist name, you can take on a different persona. Like I mentioned before, when you press record on a piece of content, you know, I've been doing it for years and years, and it never changes. But you sort of step into the persona for a while, and just sort of put yourself out there. And it's like anything, repetition and repetition.
But that is you.
Yeah,
that is you. That's the thing. It's just the side of you that's not out there all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Fatboy Slim does that. He puts a Hawaiian shirt on and goes into Fatboy Slim, right? So, if it works for one person, you find a way. Like, you know, it depends on your goals. Like, if you want to be the performer and be the person on stage, then you've got to find that thing inside you that's going to push forward to it. Like I said, I'm terrified of being on camera, but I knew I wanted to do something and speak and talk about something because I wanted to get to a place. So I've got to push myself through it and get through that fear because it will help me get to the goal.
Literally, it's been such a great conversation. It's flying by. We've only got a few minutes left. I just want to really quickly, just from each of you, give us a really quick example of one piece of content that you've all posted that you feel has made a real difference, that really connected, just to get an idea.
So I won't bring up a specific piece of content because it's a content wheel for a reason. You will forever make content. But one thing that our mindset at Crossfader is we always lean in to new things. We always look at we almost set ourselves up for failure. Like, how can we test things so much to the point that we know the things that are failing, and there'll be one good thing that really pops. Like when you know TikTok came along, we were the first on there, and it took ages and ages for loads of people to get on board with, and still people don't post on it now. But I would always lean in to something, a new idea, a new way of thinking, because you never know what can come out of it, and a lot of people just get stuck at the same place.
Yeah, and study your analytics. Like, really, really look at your data, the analytics, and really understand. Like, most of these platforms give retention graphs now. Views are most important feature, the most important stat of views now, not followers, not anything else. Just look at views and how many views you're getting and how many repeat views you're getting. And if people are watching for 100% of your video or 10%, and if they're only watching for 10, then you need to look at that video and go, why did they stop watching that? What was boring about that video? And then really go and ask all your mates, why would I swipe on this video? Because if they do, and that makes that boring, and that's going to then stink the reach.
For me, I was just posting tons and tons of reels until one went. And in one summer, you know, I gained like 60, 70,000 followers from one post. So it can really change things, just literally one post. But that was one post out of 10 posts I'd done. But it only took that one post for things to really change.
So the consistency was a real key for you.
Yeah, it was just consistency. Just keep showing up. Something that I've coined recently, sorry, one second,
you're good.
Is you got to show up to blow up.
Oh, nice.
It's a T-shirt again. I'm getting so many T-shirt slogans today. Yeah. What about yourself, Laura?
I just had my first kind of semi-viral experience about 6 months ago. It was just before Christmas. I'd made an edit of the CC Penistons Finally for my DJ sets. Just came out today, actually. That's a bootleg to official release.
Let's go.
Story. Took 6 months. But, thank you. But anyway, I'd made that edit, and I'd made it for my DJ sets. But then it just, every time I played it, there was something magical about it. Like, I knew I was kind of sitting on something that was like, other people might enjoy this. So just before Christmas, literally 3 days before Christmas, I was like, I'll just bang up this reel. Like, no strategy behind it whatsoever. But a fluky title, again, no strategy. But I said, you know, how to make a 1991 tune, house classic sound 2025. You know, I think that was as simple as that. Banged it up. It was like 15 seconds long. It was just me, you know, dancing around to the tune. And I said, do you remember this? Played a bit of the original. And I was like, well, I turned it into this. And then I played my edit. And that was it, 15 seconds done. And it absolutely flew. It had like 1 million views in under 2 weeks. Wow. I never had that happen before. And it was amazing. Got loads of new fans, loads of really amazing praise. And it was great. But alongside that, I got a lot of hate as well. Right. Yeah. Which was my first experience of that. There you go. A lot of angry men that didn't think that I'd done it justice and I'd ruined a classic.
Don't touch
to the point where somebody said, rubbish. You know, go kill yourself. You know, that kind of hate.
That's crazy.
So I nearly never experienced that kind of hate online because my online community generally is very, very supportive. Really you know, it's been built up very, very slowly. over 10 years. You know, I've been on Instagram now.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me because I was like, oh, I got that viral moment that every A&R tells you
You're doing something
need.
right now. Like the guy said earlier, if you start getting haters, you know, you're doing something right.
But it did come with a mental health toll, for sure,
Yeah,
because I was
totally.
like, ugh, every morning you wake up and you've got some other fucking grumpy man telling you you're shit at your job. You know, and so that was an interesting experience.
They need to go in your Facebook Moaners group.
I know they should. We should get them in my Facebook.
Put them all
Moaners
in
group.
one group and just shut them away somewhere.
Right,
Yeah, totally.
Well, I think you're absolutely smashing it. You know, all of you guys are really, really smashing it. Thank you so much for sharing your advice and wisdom. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. Really cool stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.